27th of November, 1995.
We'll be looking at what shipping has perhaps left New Zealand ports or were due at New Zealand ports around about that time.
Tonight, who and how? Searching for answers to the high seas horror that's left a family lost. Breaking the web, Western Japan goes on alert to stop a killer spider invasion. And we get down to the bare facts with America's hottest men.
This is Nightline with Leanne Malcolm.
Kia ora, good evening. Two water tragedies at the opposite ends of the country. Police are tonight checking how a man came to drown in yet another rafting accident at a southern tourist spot. The man thought to be a tourist died in rapids on the Shotover River. And in Whangarei right now, a 41-year-old American is recovering in hospital after a horror on the high seas. Her yacht's thought to have been run down by a cargo ship. The rest of her family lost among the waves.
The shock had set in for fellow yachties who'd been part of a flotilla that sailed from Tonga. Some knew the Slevins well. Their children had played with 9-year-old Ben and 7-year-old Annie, who were lost at sea.
You try to imagine how horrible it must be, you know, to have the sea come in on you in the dead of night, in the dark, with your children. I don't know.
It was out here early on Friday morning that the Melinda Lee went down, apparently rammed by a ship. Young Ben Slevin went down with the yacht. His mother Judy, father Mike and sister Annie managed to make it into an inflatable dinghy. Annie was swept overboard several times and rescued by her father. The last time, neither of them came back.
The husband was apparently there, and then the wife, the lady, actually was the only one who made it away. Whether that was voluntarily on the husband's behalf or what, we don't know.
On Saturday morning, some of the yachties who sailed from Tonga expressed concern that they'd lost contact with the Melinda Lee.
So that's when they started asking questions and wondered if we would put out a signal on our particular network to try and find out if anyone had heard any more information.
Judy was still drifting in the dinghy. It was 2 days before she washed ashore at remote Deepwater Cove. She remained on the beach for a further 24 hours until on Sunday a Fuller's Quick Cat arrived after she'd been spotted by a light plane. 4 passengers volunteered to go to her rescue.
She was actually not very mobile at all when we found her, so we waited till the rescue chopper arrived and they took over from there.
The Maritime Safety Authority has begun an investigation. They say they can't confirm the yacht was sunk by a ship, but they're checking the movements of shipping in the area.
Ships file voyage plans as they leave a port, and they will give their ETA at New Zealand ports, so we'll know where they've come from or where they've headed to.
But the offshore sailors are well aware of the dangers posed by passing ships.
A yacht is very small and it's very difficult to pick up a yacht even in the best of conditions. In tough conditions, it's even more difficult.
The Melinda Lee's last port of call was to have been here in Opua in the Bay of Islands. She never made it, and now many questions are still to be answered, like what happened to the yacht and why Judy Slevins was adrift in a dinghy for 2 to 3 days. This is Bob McNeil for Nightline.
An Auckland man is tonight facing a long list of sex charges. It follows a 2-month inquiry by police. The 47-year-old was arrested on 16 counts of rape and 40 of indecent assault against teenage girls. Other details about the man aren't being revealed, but he'll appear in court tomorrow. And a guilty plea today from a former psychiatric patient charged with kidnapping and assaulting a young boy. But Stephen Stainer, who was once named Barry Ryder, denies assault with intent to commit sexual violation. A detective revealed to the court that Stainer told him of plans to sexually assault the boy, so he'd be sent back to Lake Alice Hospital. The trial had to be adjourned early this afternoon when the judge suddenly became sick. It'll resume tomorrow. No word yet on when Jim Anderton will be back at the top of politics. The Alliance leader cancelled all appointments to go to the bedside of his youngest son. Tonight, Richard Anderton is still listed as serious in Auckland Hospital's critical care unit.
Richard Anderton, who's 27, is still seriously ill tonight in Auckland Hospital's critical care unit. He was admitted Friday night. 3 national news political sources have been told it was a drug overdose, apparently accidental.
Jim Anderton, as a dad, is like me as a mum and every other parent in New Zealand. His son's seriously ill in Auckland Hospital, and Jim's called on the people of this country and the politicians to respect his family's privacy at this time.
It's just over a year since Anderton, in a shock move, quit the alliance, citing grief over his daughter's suicide and the brutality of politics in the 90s. He returned to the leadership 6 months later, saying he had recovered from that family trauma.
We all have kids in the alliance, like everybody else, and we recognise that when your kids need you, you have to go. We've had a situation with only 2 MPs in Parliament for quite some time now, and we're used to covering for each other. Whatever has to be done will be done. I'll be there for Jim, as I know he's been there for me.
It's expected to be a couple of days before Jim Anderton is in a position to comment on his son's condition and his political future. This is Karen Pickersgill for Nightline.
An easier ride ahead for rail bosses over the Morgan Jones case. New Zealand Rail will now face just 1 count of criminal nuisance. That's instead of the 2 original ones laid after the fall that left little Morgan crippled and blind.
The lawyer for New Zealand Rail was back in court today, 2 months after a Kaikoura deposition hearing committed New Zealand Rail to trial on 2 charges. That with reckless disregard for the safety of others, it maimed Morgan Jones, and further that it injured the youngster. Under the circumstance that if death had been caused, they would have been guilty of manslaughter. After a closed court session, the Crown elected not to proceed with the 2 original charges because the law relating to manslaughter doesn't allow a company to be charged. New Zealand Rail now faces a new charge of criminal nuisance. The last high-profile case involving criminal nuisance was when 2 Kiwi muscle executives were convicted of the charge after twin babies died from listeria poisoning. New Zealand Rail today said it would defend the new charge.
Any charge of this nature that's laid against the company is treated very seriously by us, and we will be defending the final charge.
Morgan's father, Les Jones, supports the move.
I believe that the New Zealand Police and the Crown Law Office will have assessed the evidence that they've got, and they will now are in a position to choose an appropriate charge for the alleged crime.
The trial's expected to begin in February. This is Justine Short for Nightline.
Ireland has finally agreed to sanction divorce, but already Conservatives are challenging the decision. A weekend referendum narrowly voted yes to divorce laws, bringing it into step with the rest of Europe.
The bruising referendum battle left the losers dissatisfied. A recount confirmed the narrow margin in favour of change, just 0.5%. But the narrowness of the margin and a decision recently by the Irish Supreme Court that the government had acted unconstitutionally by helping to fund the Yes campaign could provide grounds for a legal challenge. But constitutional experts say there's little chance the referendum result will be overturned. The Bosnian Serb leader Radovan Karadzic today warned that the Bosnian capital Sarajevo could become the Beirut of Europe. The US brokered peace deal gives the Croat-Bosnian alliance overall control of the city. Dr. Karadzic says this could be unfair to the Serbs and cause a divided city that could bleed for decades. Brisbane police suspect an arsonist started a fire that caused over $12 million worth of damage in a small Queensland town. The blaze in Bow Desert could be seen 40 kilometres away. A block of 7 shops was burnt out, making 35 people unemployed and destroying the commercial heart of the small town. This is Max Hayton for Nightline.
Well, stick around for some American hunks and more. But next up, the resignation of the Reverend who raved for God.